Kourtney Kardashian bared her soul about her feud with her sister Kim Kardashian for the upcoming episode of The Kardashians. Right from the start of the season, Kim, 42, was concerned how Kourtney, 44, would react to her signing on as creative director for a Dolce & Gabbana fashion show in Milan, after D&G personally styled Kourtney and Travis Barker's wedding. Now in a new sneak peek of this week's episode, Kourtney confronted Kim about the tension that has been simmering between them all season. In a candid heart-to-heart, Kourtney unleashed her angst that her sister had diluted the specialness of her wedding. "It feels awful that my sister used my wedding as a business opportunity," Kourtney said in a confessional. "She chose the money over me," Kourtney, who is just 18 months older than Kim, surmised. "That's why she never truly asked me. It's not that she forgot to ask me or thought that I wouldn't care. It's that she wouldn't have known what to do if my answer was no." During their tête-à-tête, Kim asked, "Okay, so if I had called and said, 'Hi, I really want to do this,' what would you have said?" "I don't know," admitted the eldest Kardashian sister. "And I may have been like, my usual personality, 'cause I don't really care about stuff like that, is to be like, 'Oh my god, do it. Take the money and run,'" she went on, "but because it was my wedding, it really wasn't business for me. It was such a special day. I feel like it takes away from the specialness." Dolce & Gabbana were behind the designs for Kourtney's lavish nuptials in Portofino, which came after a drunken Las Vegas wedding in front of an Elvis impersonator and then a civil marriage obtained in Santa Barbara. Kourtney adds in confession, "It feels awful that my sister used my wedding as a business opportunity. She chose the money over me. That's why she never truly asked me. It's not that she forgot to ask me or thought that I wouldn't care. I think that she wouldn't have known what to do if my answer is no," Kim tells Kourtney. "I also heard that like Kylie was doing a campaign before I was, and so I'm like, wait a minute, so that's cool?" Kourtney insists, "It's not cool, but to me that's more like mom. I don't really expect Kylie to call me or be like. Because I think she's like in Kylie's world or whatever." Kim adds in confession, "My mom did the same deal for Kylie, not to creative direct, but like to be in a campaign. Why wasn't that a topic of conversation? It's something with me, and I cannot figure out fully what it is." Kourtney adds that the conversations were starting from my wedding, and obviously like, but Kim interrupts and says, "No, they started at their fashion show." Kim adds, "Mom FaceTimed me and showed me a huge runway and they said, 'We want to do a book with you and we want you to creative direct our fashion show.' So they had that idea," Kourtney states, "when I chose my designer for the wedding, which there was like other options, but that one felt really authentic to me because we go there every summer for 5 years, it's the life that I live. Living La Dolce Vita with ice creams and paparazzi and all the things that was like eventually your campaign." Back in confession, Kim takes a deep breath and smiles before stating, "I got married in Italy." "Am I saying you copied me by getting married in Italy? Who performed at my wedding? Andrea Bocelli." "Who performed at Kourtney's wedding? Andrea Bocelli. You stole my effing wedding country and my wedding performer. Andrea Bocelli is my favorite male singer of all time, but am copying her La Dolce Vita lifestyle? Okay." Back at Kourtney's house, Kim tells her, with like all due respect, everyone thought it was so sponsored, and they thought it was like. But Kourtney adds, "But it wasn't. And I know that. I don't care what everyone thinks. I didn't make that choice for my wedding because of money. There was no financial reason," Kourtney adds, "and you didn't talk to me about this so you wouldn't know, but what they presented to me was like new Dolce, like lemons and all white summery things. I was like, I need all the 90s archives looks, like that's what I need for my wedding. Gothic Y, a little more romantic, Italian. I pulled like all Monica Bellucci, was like my mood board. When we went to Milan for our first fittings, Danny spent 2 days with Dolce's whole team, insisting on like, know everything on Vogue. I want before anything on Vogue.com. I want like 90s archives, Kim says. Danielle and I made a PDF in 2017. They flew in town and made me 3 archive looks, all with the crystals. I wore the white one to the Celine Dion concert and they were like, we had never done our archives, blah blah blah. They hadn't done them since until your wedding. When we go to your wedding, a lot of the looks, like this gray pants and top, were my own, that we had just had in my archive from collecting it over time. They said to me, where did you get this? Oh my god, we don't even have this in our archive anymore. Then, when we got to doing the show, I obviously had never seen your mood board, but in all fairness, as Kourtney interrupts Kim. But I think it's just the way it went down. I get these details, none of these details, it doesn't matter, Kourtney says, as Kim adds, there are only so many looks in the 90s, there are only so many looks you can choose. Right, so I'm saying. I think it's. They clearly did the 90s after my wedding, of me insisting. Do you know how many times I used the word, 90s archives? I was like, I need the 90s archives for my sisters. They are not gonna wear this other stuff. This is what I need for them and myself. I wouldn't expect for you to know any of that, but that's what I'm saying. The biggest thing is like, no one called me to say, not mom or yourself, to be like, hey, how do you feel about this? It's this much money, I really want to do it, how do you feel? But beyond that, it's my wedding, it's not just like. Kourtney says. A confused Kim adds in confession, I'm really confused with how this narrative just literally came into her head. The last thing I want to do is fight with my sister. The last thing I want to do is intentionally hurt someone. Kourtney added in the conversation, we're allowing brands to do that by not just having conversations. Kim adds, but if you saw my intention. They literally tried to have like black veils, they wanted the Madonna looks, they wanted their iconic things, even though I had worn that look already. I was like, that's Kourtney's wedding. And they were like, no, this is Dolce. Kourtney adds, all the photos, when I look at the photos, I'm like, is this my wedding? All your guys' photos, the romantic vibes that everyone was, it's fine, it's a classic Italian vibes, but the point is it's like that was the look of my wedding. Kim disagrees, adding, I think that looked really different, I don't think so, as Kourtney adds, the look and the feeling and the outfits and the everything. I'm happy to move on to the next and be done with it, as Kim adds, that's how I felt about the Christmas lights. Exactly. The one time I did something that was slightly like that was copying you. As Kim says, I'm telling you, I would be upset. I get it. I feel you. I would be upset. Kourtney adds, there are 2 parts, because it's one part is just me wanting my own SD and my own identity. Kim responds, you definitely have your own identity. No one is trying to like rock out, but Kourtney adds, but it's not that, it's not even my identity. Kourtney adds in confession, I think it's just like a need to be an individual, and when I do have things that are mine, I get protective over what feels like it's part of me. Kourtney tells Kim, I think also being curious for yourself about like why do you need that? What is it that you need? Is it deeper than just the money? Just saying on like a deeper level, if you want to like learn about yourself, I think it's like. Kim responds, like, why would I want to do it? I thought to like challenge myself, adding in confession, it's not just the money, it's so much more than that, and if you don't know who I am to know that about me, like, your loss. Kim tells Kourtney, I never thought that I could like never do anything on her own, and I was okay with that. I was more like the doll that loved to get dressed up. So when I agreed to do this, I was like, okay, this a challenge for me. And that was my lesson is that like I did it, something in the fashion world that I was so insecure about, every roadblock happened to like push me to finally do something all by myself and have my own opinion and speak up for myself and do it all and I was terrified every step of the way, but that's obviously what was meant to happen, you know. But it was like, a huge challenge where I was like crying inside. Kourtney adds, but I think I mean on a deeper level. Why, what is it about yourself? And this is just a rhetorical like food for thought for later in life or whatever, but like, what is it about yourself that you have to have like everything? Like you can't like stop? It's not good enough. Kim insists, but it's more than the material thighs, which Kourtney agrees with, though she says, I think it is financial, though, like accomplishments. It's like, whatever it is at the moment that feels like that's the accomplishment or that's like the prize, or whatever. People are driven by certain reasons and they make you great, but there's also something about being able to be content and happy with what you have and not feel like you need more. Kim admits, the last thing I want to do is for you to think that I'm like coming for you and like. We don't even hang out as much anymore, none of us do. We haven't had a family dinner in God knows how long. Kourtney adds, I just feel like there is this underlying weirdness that's not spoken because of, this, though Kim says, it's been like this since we literally fought in Khloe's old house and it's like been, I think it started there, but then you had been in Travis land, nothing wrong with that. We get it, you're married, you're living your life. Kourtney adds, but that doesn't mean I don't have, like, Travis is at the studio, he's gonna come home at 9 o'clock or whatever, like, but that doesn't mean I don't still have time. I feel like I don't have time for a sister's vacation. I'm either with the kids or I'm with Travis and his kids or all of us and I feel like we're in different places. That doesn't mean we can't do things together. Khloe and I have been having more fun, and yeah I'm down to do more. I think I just want to run when things like that happen where I'm like, I don't want to be a part of this. Kourtney adds in confession that she used to be mad or mean when I was hurt, but now I feel like I avoid, like I just don't really want to be around. I just have such a fulfilling life without it. Kourtney sums up the situation by stating, the business and the check was more important than my feelings, and Kim says, I get that. That will affect our relationship, and it has, as Kim adds, I could tell you a million things that would make it make sense and you could tell me a million things that would make it not make sense, but all of this is like besides the point, because it happened, and we are where we're at. There's nothing else I could say but I totally understand, I hear you, I'm sorry that my choices put us in this situation. I'm happy for the experience but I'm sad and sorry that experience hurt you. Because that's not what I would ever want to do or ever want to make you feel that way and I'm sad that me choosing to do this would hurt you or this relationship. Kourtney says, thank you for apologizing and acknowledging it, as Kim grabs her phone and says she has to go. Longtime crew member Paxi adds off camera, I'm proud of you guys. I think you both expressed yourself really well. It's a far cry from the wall slamming, referring to one of their earlier fights. Kourtney tells Kim that Penelope is at her house and has her bag, as Kim says she will bring them to school, as Kourtney adds, I'm glad we talked and Kim says, I'm really glad we talked. Kourtney adds that she'll see her in Palm Springs before Kim leaves her sister's home and Kourtney continues getting her nails done.